Guys, a massive warning for anyone involved in crypto right now. Bitcoin is facing potentially a plunge towards the downside, and it could be much bigger than you think. Let's find out exactly what's going on. Now, every time we've had a liquidation event in the past, it causes mass fear. If you think about the big institutions, etc., that want to be buying into crypto, they want to be buying at the absolute bottom. They can only do that by shaking out the weaker hands, and they only can do that by creating mass fear and hysteria in the market. Now, what we've seen in the last 12 hours or so is Bitcoin get rejected at a key level, which is starting to make me think what is going to happen could be pretty brutal for Bitcoin going forward. Now, what we can see, if we look at where the current price is sat, which is this red dotted line across the chart, we can see that we are currently sticking on all-time highs, which was previously with the 11th December 2017. After that, we saw a capitulation towards the downside, and then we saw this kind of like creeping up. We had another kind of pump, and then before the next final rally, we saw an absolute destructive move. In 4 weeks, we saw the price of Bitcoin falling 64%. Now, what we saw after all-time highs was a drop, a push, a drop again. Here, we can see something kind of similar. And what happened in this bull run, bearing in mind this was pretty much the bull run here, we had something similar play out. We pumped up even higher, and then we pumped hard towards the downside. Now, what we've sort of started to see is a potential recovery happening here, but it actually never really has materialized. And what happened at this level is also very intriguing. We saw a big pump towards the upside and then ripped down towards the downside. There was a couple of weeks where Bitcoin sat around $4,000, and then you know the rest from there. If you were involved in the market around this time, then you would have understood like the kind of pain and fear, Bitcoin going to zero, crypto going to zero kind of stuff that was going around. That's kind of what you need in the market to indicate that we're about to move into a bull run. Right now, we feel like we're sitting at the bottom of the market, but we're just sort of playing around. We had this drop here, which is obviously a pretty hefty one. But then we've kind of consolidated like that. What we're really looking for is a wick towards the downside. So if we were to look back across previous sort of highs and stuff, where we might indicate a next top to be is probably in this area down here. And the reason I'm sort of starting to lean towards that opinion, crypto in general, guys, is because of this second high here and a high here indicating this is a significant level. Also, we had this kind of like higher, we had this kind of like resistance here. So previous resistance flips into support. We are still a fair bit away from reaching down towards that line. Around a 34% downside move could well be the trigger that sends everyone over the edge into sell mode, and then maybe we kind of move up like this and eventually we break out of it into a bull market. But right now I still feel we're due some sort of a liquidation event after we failed to break out of a falling wedge pattern for Bitcoin. So I want to jump into a daily chart for Bitcoin and see what we've basically seen happening over the last few weeks or so. So since the sort of 30th of May, we've been in this downtrend like this. And what basically is happening, and you can see happening each time, while we have the bottom kind of remaining static, remaining the same, we're getting squeezed lower and lower. Okay, so this means lower highs each time, indicating a downtrend. Now, unless we're able to break beyond and push like this is a continuation pattern. This is a descending triangle, showing that the market is losing strength. Each time you're getting less and less people willing to buy the market, you're still getting the same amount of people holding. You need to shake out the people who are still continuing to hold at this level. So you need to get under these lines to create some sort of liquidation event. Now, everyone who's been going long with over leveraged positions will be keeping a stop loss somewhere under here. I am sure of it. Now, what happens if a trade goes against you and starts hitting those stop losses? Well, those stop losses start to mount up and you get a snowball effect, and then that's how we get things that look like this. Obviously though, at the same time, there will be lots of people with buy orders in this zone, so potentially you could be looking to put buy orders, maybe down around $13,000. You might get lucky. What's great about where we are right now in the market is, yes, that is a painful drop, guys, but it's actually down 34%. In crypto, down 34% is something that we can see in a day quite regularly, not so much now because the market's a bit static. But the previous dumps that happened over sort of a couple of days or so, that was 35%. This one here, like 39%. So it wouldn't be unrealistic to see a further dump like that, shake out more people who are currently sat in the market. And it would actually fit in quite nicely with something else, which is now showing to me. And that would be maybe having a bottom support line coming in here. If we saw a drop into this area, then you could expect to potentially see us getting down to around this level under $15,000, finding some support, having a consolidation phase, and then a push out. And that would obviously move us to later on in the year, potentially into early part of next year. Now you're probably thinking this guy's full of BS because yesterday he said that there was a potential that we're going to break towards the upside. There was a potential to break towards the upside, but every day that we are not pushing higher, we're starting to get squeezed lower and lower. More the chances are that we're going to squeeze even lower than we are currently. And I want to show you a Forex chart, which is a US dollar JPY chart. And you're probably wondering, why is he showing me Forex? Well, as the US dollar has been increasing, Bitcoin has been going down against it. In this case, we got the reverse with the US dollar first, and then the JPY being compared against it. So the JPY has been losing strength against a building dollar. What I can see if I jump into a 4 out on the USD JPY is something very interesting indeed. Notice how I've got my alerts put on the chart, because I'm thinking that this could well be the decision that makes or breaks crypto as well as US dollar in general on all Forex pairs. So what we can see, guys, is the high, this crazy high that US dollars put in against JPY. This is like 40% over the span of like 10 months, which is actually massive for large currency pairs. But you can see that we are consolidating sideways on the 4 hour. This shows us that we're about to move somewhere in a massive way. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but every time we consolidate and see small tight patterns, the tighter the pattern, the bigger the breakout's going to be. You can see what the move up into it was, which potentially will push or push like this. And yes, it could go either way. That's fair, because we don't have any confirmation right now on what this pattern will be. You have to say that this is an uptrend, so you would have to say that the likelihood is that the US dollar will continue to grow in strength. If the US dollar continues to grow in strength, then on the flip side of things, jumping back to Bitcoin, could only imagine that the chances are of pushing further down. If you look at this pattern for Bitcoin, we had kind of like higher highs each time. Eventually we broke out of it. We came back, we retested it, nice breakdown, and we're more than likely going to see a breakdown. But right now we seem to be holding it. It's fairly steady. It's consolidating as the US dollar consolidates on many Forex charts. Bitcoin hangs in the balance. Just as I look at it, it's gone under 19,000. It won't be long potentially before we can see some liquidations occurring. If it starts to drop much further, then we're going to get into liquidation events potentially. If we start getting under these wicks, guys, be very careful if you're using leverage, because you could well get absolutely wrecked. Also, when and if the price dumps towards the downside, be very cautious about trying to jump in on leverage positions. When you see a candle that comes down like this and you think it's the bottom and you try and get in on a buy and it does this to you, well, guys, you've got to be very, very careful, okay? You need to wait for confirmation. And what a confirmation on the downside would look like might be something like this, where you have a push down towards the downside and it does something like this, and then we need to wait for this before I'm considering a buy, okay? I'm not buying here, because I don't know where the bottom of the market will be. I'm anticipating where it might be, but I need to wait for confirmations, okay? So never jump before we get that return confirmation on a reversal. It's the same for Forex, it's the same for crypto. Be very careful. I think we could be about to see a load of hurt Bitcoin, but this is probably the most exciting thing. When we get that liquidation event, if and when it happens, then that could well be the start of a move towards the bull run, a transition from bear market to bull market, which is what we've been waiting for months and months, and why crypto in general has been pretty boring right now. We need to get more exciting, and potentially in a bad way exciting, before it gets more exciting in a good way. So guys, remember, stay safe. Those of you who are bought and holding crypto right now, I'm not telling you to go and sell, because ultimately it could be wrong. I'm telling you that if it drops lower, you've got a great opportunity to buy at and then bring down your dollar cost average. I'm also telling you that if you are leverage trading, you're using leverage, to be extremely cautious right now, using stop losses, okay? Do not trade without stop losses. You shouldn't be risking more than 1 or 2% of your account anyway. If you are because your account's not big enough, then go and look at like myforexfunds.com or something like that, FTMO, and go and get a funded account. They're very cheap. You can do an evaluation phase, and then you can trade with like $50,000, $100,000. It's going to cost you like $250 or $500 to use those accounts. I'm not affiliated with them anyway, but it's just a great way for you to be able to trade and learn to trade. You can do free trials and stuff over there if you are so interested. If you want to know more about day trading tips, then make sure you get in my Telegram group, which is linked down below in the description or in the comments. And then you can start to get some tips. I'm going to bring like 1 or 2 daily little kind of videos about what I've been trading, how trading is working, and some little tips and tricks for beginners and intermediates, etc. if you are so interested. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that update. Be very careful. If you think I'm wrong, think I'm right, think I'm an idiot, go and write it in the comments, guys. I look forward to reading them. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button and subscribe. I'll see you soon. Bye.